I was taken aback by my mother-in-law's unexpected words. I didn't expect you to afford such a place. Well done, dear. We're more than happy to move in with you. My confusion deepened at her statement. Excuse me, I interjected, feeling the need to clarify. With this upgrade, I don't mind holding off on the divorce. Remember, I'm single now, Lucy, 35, working as a doctor at the Women's Health Clinic. My apartment, a comfortable 15-minute drive from work, accommodates not just me but also my husband, William, and his parents. My marriage to William commenced 5 years ago, accompanied by his condition that we live with his parents. Being an only child, I understood his familial obligations. Despite knowing this beforehand, I agreed wholeheartedly. Thus, when we tied the knot, we opted for a larger apartment, embracing life with his parents as part of our domestic arrangement. Initially, when we began our cohabitation, William's parents assured me, as a doctor, Lucy, you're undoubtedly busy. Leave the household chores to us. Your father-in-law and I will handle everything else while you focus on your work. And true to their word, they diligently managed all cooking, cleaning, and domestic tasks, affording me the luxury of concentrating solely on my professional duties. I assumed William enjoyed the same privileges. However, our dynamic shifted dramatically 6 months later. Abruptly, William resigned from his job. Taken aback, I inquired, "What's prompted this decision? Why quit?" His response was startling. "I believe I've put in my fair share. I need a hiatus before embarking on a fresh start. Besides, even without my income, we won't struggle financially with yours." I countered, "But why such a significant decision without consulting me? You can't guarantee finding another job. What if something happens to me?" His reply was dismissive. "There's no need for pessimism. We have savings to fall back on." Attempting to reason, my mother-in-law intervened. "Now, Lucy, don't be too hard on him. William has toiled diligently thus far. A break is well deserved. Wouldn't you agree? You can compensate for his absence by working a bit harder." Stunned into silence, I pondered the unfairness of her suggestion. My workload was already demanding, and it seemed ludicrous to imply that I should bear the brunt of our financial responsibilities while William enjoyed a respite. After all, I too faced challenges. Upon hearing my retort, my mother-in-law's expression shifted abruptly. With raised eyebrows, she retorted, "Let me remind you, Lucy, you're not the sole one grappling with difficulties here. While you were at work, your father-in-law and I were tending to the household tasks alongside our own jobs without respite. If you insist on such talk, we'll cease our contributions to the household. From now on, you're on your own." Her words struck me dumb. With that declaration, my mother-in-law and William exited the room, heading to the living room to watch TV. Thus began my solitary struggle to juggle both household chores and my job. No one else would lift a finger to help. Takeout meals became a regular occurrence, likely to stave off hunger in their absence of cooking. However, their preferences leaned towards pricey options like sushi, leading to mounting demands for increased funds to cover food expenses. "Lucy, ensure there's enough money for our meals. Are you aiming to starve us?" they plead. Even when I urged restraint, my mother-in-law would counter, "How heartless to suggest scrimping on food when we're confined at home with no other indulgences. You're such a heartless person, neglecting your responsibilities to care for your in-laws." "Perhaps divorce is the answer," he declared. Exasperated, I relented, increasing the funds allotted for food, enabling my in-laws and William to indulge in whatever culinary desires they fancied. During a brief break from work, I dashed to a nearby gas station to pick up a few essentials. Upon reaching the counter for payment, I realized my card was missing and my wallet seemed lighter. Momentary confusion gripped me before I hurried home immediately after work. Bursting into the living room, I was met with the sight of a gleaming new television. "Welcome home, Lucy." "Back so soon," chimed in William, his voice laced with fond innocence. "Isn't it splendid, Lucy?" added my mother-in-law, their faces adorned with sinister smirks. "What's this? How did you manage to afford this?" I questioned, baffled by the sudden splurge. "We had savings, obviously." "Savings," came the casual reply. My mother-in-law seized the opportunity to chime in, her tone dripping with fond gratitude. "Oh, Lucy, we had no idea you were saving so diligently for us. You should have mentioned it sooner. With your dutiful contributions, we can now enjoy even more luxuries. You've finally proven your worth as a daughter-in-law." Spotting my card on the table, I exclaimed, "Wait, did you use my savings? And how did you obtain the PI?" Their response was dismissive. It's simple to deduce. After all, we're family, my mother-in-law asserted with a satisfied grin. Using William's birthday as the PIN shows your affection for him, she added, seemingly pleased with her deduction. I didn't choose the PIN with William in mind. It simply remained unchanged since our marriage. And my feelings towards William are not as they once were, I confessed. Unfazed, both my mother-in-law and William continued their audacious demands. You haven't fulfilled your duties as a daughter-in-law thus far. There's no need to make a fuss over this. Your obligation is clear. Hand over your savings to us quietly. We expect $3,000, no, $4,000 monthly from now on. Don't try to hide your earnings. Ensure we receive our fair share, they insisted. Incensed by their shameless demands, I snapped back. This isn't a joke. Why should my hard-earned money line your pockets? If you desire funds, earn them yourselves. This applies to you both, mother-in-law and father-in-law. Show some decency and consider household finances before attempting to extort from me. The room fell into a heavy silence, the weight of my words hanging in the air. Yet it took no time for my in-laws to retaliate. Such impertinence, daughter-in-law. Is that how you address your mother-in-law? We see no semblance of gratitude from you. What use is a daughter-in-law who only brings money? Your audacity is beyond belief. There's a line you've crossed, my father-in-law seethed. William, unable to contain his frustration, stormed off to his room, though he soon returned with a piece of paper in hand. Here, he thrust it towards me. It was a divorce decree. To my disbelief, not only was William's signature present, but also those of my in-laws as witnesses. File it if you dare, but be prepared to vacate this condo. Living with a stranger is out of the question. Unlike his wife, William is capable, my father-in-law declared sternly. Lucy will overlook your outburst as a momentary lapse. However, any further defiance will lead to your divorce, they jeered, their laughter filling the room. Anger boiled within me, but so did a glimmer of satisfaction. Yet now wasn't the time for retaliation. Suppressing my urge to lash out, I calmly stated, I'll begin moving my belongings and essentials before making my way to my room. My in-laws and William wore expressions of bewilderment. Did they believe I'd beg for forgiveness at the mere mention of divorce? How naive. The divorce papers, complete with signatures, served as a stark reminder of their intentions. Swiftly, I gathered my belongings and declared, I'm leaving. Don't expect me to come to your aid, even in times of trouble. With that, I departed our condo, the divorce papers securely in my possession, seeking refuge in a nearby business hotel for the night. Taking swift action, I canceled the card William had utilized online. Upon checking my balance, I discovered that the once plentiful account, boasting over $10,000, now contained a mere $3,000. Curiosity piqued, I pondered over their extravagant expenditures. However, my savings weren't limited to that account alone. As a precaution, I had sizable reserves in 2 other accounts linked to them. Though stunned to see $7,000 vanish, I deemed it a necessary sacrifice to sever ties with that family. The following day, I wasted no time and headed straight to the city office to submit the divorce papers. With a sense of relief, I watched as they were duly accepted. To assure the finality of the matter, I double-checked my family register certificate, confirming my newfound status as a divorced individual. At last, I had severed ties with that troublesome mother-son duo. While the urge to rejoice surged within me, I remained composed, knowing there were still tasks at hand. My next stop was a real estate agency, where I attended to 2 crucial matters. Firstly, I invested in a home of my own, utilizing the savings I had diligently accrued over the years. Through this process, I came to grasp the true significance of living life on my own terms. The realization dawned upon me that freedom was a precious commodity, one that could easily be compromised. I understood the importance of seizing opportunities promptly and asserting my autonomy without hesitation. I settled into my new single-story house, reveling in its spacious living room, practical kitchen, and a coveted walk-in closet, all mine. Determined to make it truly mine, I spent the day furnishing every nook and cranny, moving in whatever I could manage. The following 3 days were a whirlwind of shopping, acquiring essentials, and indulging in the thrill of creating my sanctuary. While the expense of replacing everything was significant, I deemed it a worthy investment for a fresh start. A few days later, as I sat down to dinner around 8 p.m., the doorbell interrupted my solitude. Curious as to who could be calling at such an hour, I glanced at the intercom screen to find a familiar sight. William, my former mother-in-law, and my former father-in-law. Almost a nostalgic scene. Anticipating their arrival, I approached the door and swung it open. Before I could utter a word, William launched into a tirade. What's the idea, disappearing without a word? It's madness. His outburst prompted his parents to intervene, urging him to calm down. William, take a breath. We agreed to discuss this calmly later, remember? His mother interjected soothingly. Exactly. Look at this place, isn't it fantastic? It's far more spacious and inviting than our cramped condo, his father added, attempting to diffuse the tension. Despite my protests, they barged into my home without hesitation. Hold on, you can't just waltz in here uninvited, I objected, but my pleas fell on deaf ears. Enough. This is as much our place as yours. What's the harm in us visiting? William retorted, brushing aside my objections. With that, they proceeded to explore my home. The furniture isn't to my taste, but I must admit, the layout is quite decent. It might even be more comfortable than our current condo, his father remarked, surveying the space. I never imagined you could afford such a place. Well done, dear. We don't mind moving in with you, my mother-in-law remarked. Excuse me, we're informing you that we've approved this condo. We'll be residing here with you. Perhaps we can overlook your past transgressions. Though your conduct as a daughter-in-law has been superb, we acknowledge your gesture in securing this residence for us. Perhaps William will find it satisfactory. I suppose I can overlook this. If we can reside here, I don't mind remaining married to you, she continued. Excuse me, who's the wife and who's not getting divorced? I interjected, confused by their assertions. The room fell silent as the three exchanged puzzled glances. I'm not married, you know. I'm single, I clarified. Rather than showing astonishment, they seemed unable to comprehend my words. What nonsense are you spouting? Do you think you can escape the consequences of your disrespect? My father-in-law retorted. In response, I thrust the divorce certificate into William's stunned face, causing a visible shift in their demeanor. Lucy, how dare you take such action without consulting us? Do you expect forgiveness? My mother-in-law demanded. Yes, I do. After all, you provided it to me for that purpose, didn't you? I replied calmly. Lucy, how dare you take such action without consulting us? Do you expect forgiveness? She repeated, her tone growing more agitated. Forgiveness. Your names were clearly stated on the divorce notice, weren't they? Including your names implies a decision was made, doesn't it? You were the ones who initiated the divorce papers, weren't you? William explicitly instructed me to file them if possible, so I did. What's the issue? Upon my firm stance, the three fell silent, their faces flushed with embarrassment. Undeterred, I decided to push the matter further. Let's not forget, you're the ones who kicked me out. It appears you've conveniently overlooked the fact that the condo you currently inhabit is registered under my name. Now that we're estranged, I see no reason to uphold that agreement. Hence, I've terminated it. If you fail to vacate within a week, I'll have you forcibly removed from the premises, I declared. Their expressions quickly shifted from anger to shock, their faces draining of color. With determination, I executed my final move. Dialing a number on my phone, I addressed the receiver. Hello. I regret to inform you that there are trespassers in my home. Yes, 3 individuals who have forcefully entered my property. Please dispatch assistance immediately. The address is. I had summoned the police. As their protests rang in my ears, I remained resolute. Don't assume you can escape consequences. One of them exclaimed. What kind of daughter-in-law are you? It's appalling to involve the authorities in family matters. Remember this. Another added, their words a futile attempt to deflect accountability. With their parting remarks echoing in the air, each swiftly departed from my home. As I had repeatedly stated, I was indeed single. Finally, my battle had drawn to a close. I had braced myself for potential retaliation, expecting them to target me at the hospital where I worked. Surprisingly, they never materialized. Stubbornly, they remained in the apartment even after the expiration of the week-long eviction notice. Shortly thereafter, I received a call from the real estate agent. However, I promptly informed them, those individuals are complete strangers to me. Consequently, they were charged with trespassing and promptly dealt with by the authorities. Each was fined $1,000, but unsurprisingly, none could afford to pay. A relative from the countryside stepped in and settled the fines on their behalf. Subsequently, they were forcibly relocated to the countryside. It's likely that by now, they're toiling away on a farm, unpaid, under the watchful eye of their relative. For me, life is unfolding smoothly. Embracing my newfound independence, I've rediscovered the joys of living alone. After years of prioritizing others over myself, every day feels like a fresh start. Moving forward, I'm determined to savor each moment and seize the opportunities that come my way, ensuring that I make the most of this precious life.